This was a sanitary strip. You still can find those over toilets showing that they're clean. Oh yeah, just talks about chain hotels and the hotel keys there, the modern keys, and hotel pens, which, believe it or not, I have a huge collection of. This is a 1965 Holiday Inn room. Peek in here. Oh yeah, got a shag carpet. These wonderful green blankets. There, get a nice restful sleep while you're on your road trip. Another peek over here. Bathroom there. See the Holiday Inn towels hanging up. Oh my, what a time to be alive. And here is an old vacation cabin you might stay in. A little efficiency cabin. If you didn't want to stay in a cabin, if you didn't want to stay in a Holiday Inn, you could always stay in your RV, or campers, as they were known back then. A wonderful Airstream there. And, the pop-up. Some simple little pop-up tent that you drag behind in a car. Talks about the interstates and how that affected vacation travel, road trip traveling. There's an old toll booth right there. Oh, look at this one here. Look at that car. It's a 1903 Packard Model F. And of course, this is the Henry Ford Museums, who are going to get into automobiles. Over here we have some family cars, some vans, and other things where you could put a large family inside of. This is the Cornell Liberty safety car, designed to be the safest car ever. Has an extra large windshield so you can see more. But look inside the car. It's like almost like made of Nerf inside. Like everything is padded. The seats are super padded. See, the dashboard actually comes down around your waist to secure you in like a roller coaster, and then that is all padded. It is interesting. The back seat, they have nets behind the back seats to catch your head in case of whiplash. It actually looks pretty cozy with all those like padded seats in there. This was made in 1957 when safety wasn't even a concern at the time. So this is one of the first cars to even try to be safe. And so some of the ideas stuck around, some of them not so much. Here's some different car seats over the years. This one like hangs off the back. This one has like suspenders that strap around the baby. It talks about here about how cars, they didn't have laws for using child seats until 1985, which means I was born in 1980. So I definitely remember riding in the car without a car seat. I would actually beg my grandma to let me sit on the armrest next to her in the car. Look at this massive McDonald's sign here. Over 160 million sold. I actually can remember back when they kept tally on the signs. Then literally America ate too many burgers to even keep track of. Oh, this is a sign for Howard Johnson. They do have an operational diner car that they serve lunch in here at the Henry Ford. I think we missed out. I think they're closed for the day, but we can take a peek inside. Oh yeah, definitely. I forgot this existed. I definitely need, next time I come to Henry Ford, need to eat in here. We see some of the early cars. This is the Ford Quadricycle here. Actually got a pressed penny up front with that on it. Yeah, you can see when cars first became cars, when they were first invented, they kind of just looked like horse carriages with engines in them. We see over here when cars start to get a little bit of style about them. This is a Chevrolet hardtop here with the pink color. This is a Corvair. I have an interesting story about a Corvair if you've been following the channel for a very long time. I'm just going to see the evolution of cars. Does it not seem like the cars got to a point where they were really, really cool looking and then started to just like look less cool? started maybe a design downgrade. This is a 2010 Edson 2. This is a car that could deliver more than 100 miles per gallon. Give me one of those. There's a 2016 General Motors self-driving car. See all the different cameras and sensors. I don't know what I feel about a self-driving car. In some ways, that seems like a dream come true. I could just sleep in the backseat. I don't know if you're allowed to sleep in the backseat. But if a car was truly self-driving, man, I would love that. I could sit in the passenger seat and edit videos, do research, while the car just takes me where I need to go. And once again, we have merely scratched the surface here with all the exhibits they have.
who made her name and her bones working inside legacy media and now does a great deal of incredible work in the field of human trafficking. I don't mean contributing to it. She's not got like a truck somewhere loaded up with the vulnerable. No, I mean preventing it, which I've seen her do marvelously and magnificently in a number of contexts, both at live events and online. Lara, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Russell.
Additionally, joining me is my doppelganger brother, my shadow self, and that great emergent archetype from the hills of Scotland, the coast guy himself, the magnificent Neil Oliver. Thanks for joining us, Neil.
I'm delighted to be with you both, Russell and Lara.
Thank you so much for joining us. The first story that we're going to discuss today is the inauguration itself. We're seeing seismic changes around the world since the election of Donald Trump. There are many legislative changes already in action. The withdrawal from the World Health Organization being the first and most significant among them. This is the WHO's response to America's withdrawal from the WHO. The World Health Organization regrets the announcement that the USA intends to withdraw. The WHO plays a crucial role in protecting the health security of the world's people, including Americans. Now, what do you think this indicates, Lara? Is this an end of globalism? Is this a positive step forward for America, or does this indeed place the world's vulnerable and the health of Americans and the health of people around the world in jeopardy? Is this, do you think, an endorsement, an early endorsement of the Trump administration, or do you think this is an indicator of a malign administration?
This is an administration that's carrying out its promises, and it's doing it from day one, right? I mean, Trump said on the campaign trail that he was going to withdraw from WHO. You know, last time around, he withdrew from the Paris Climate Accord. He was looking at the United Nations very closely. It really marks the era of Trump doing something that Americans, millions of Americans, have wondered about for a long time. Like, why are you a member of a group that every chance they get, they stand up and say how awful you are? You know, I mean, so that's, you know, and you're paying all the bills, or not all of the bills, but you're paying most of them. But so the WHO in that respect is representative of the UN and all these other global organizations. However, what's different with the WHO is COVID, right? Because you can make arguments, and I was born and raised in Africa, so, you know, I know that there are Africans who are part of these programs and supposedly benefit from this, although never seen any improvement in the standard of living or the health of any of these countries where the WHO operates in practice, right? So I'm not sure how much good it does, but this is a kind of safety net, or so we believe. However, what happened with the WHO during COVID was that they really led this march on the world that was based on one lie after another. And what you saw, COVID brought into clear focus this clash between global governance and global organizations and the individual rights and freedoms of sovereign nations and sovereign individuals. You know, I mean, Europe was ready to toss the Nuremberg Code out the window. It's like, oh, goodbye, Joseph Mengele, goodbye, you know, Nazi, Holocaust, and all the rest of it. We don't care about the Nuremberg Code anymore. It's time to talk about forced vaccinations. Well, you know, the Nuremberg Code was implemented specifically to prevent you from being forced to do something medically. But in the United States, you have a Bill of Rights, you know, and you have a constitution, and people are not just going to go along with that. They're not going to indefinitely suspend their liberties. And then, by the way, sign on to a treaty that says that the WHO, the next time there's a pandemic, is going to be in charge. So really, I think it was the mass murder and harming of people all over the world that brought this issue of global governance into focus. And I don't want to talk too long. I want to hand it over to Neil. But, you know, I have to say, me personally, I'm one of those people that says the WHO could go, you know, they can get knotted. And you're going to have to come up with some other system, a better system to help people across the world than one that is profoundly dishonest and, quite frankly, tyrannical, and then harming people. I mean, who wants that? No, thank you.
Trump emphasized in the withdrawal the economic aspect of the United States' relationship with the WHO, that their contributions significantly outweigh, for example, that of China, while America, of course, represent a smaller population. Neil, do you consider this to be an economic or ideological withdrawal, and what do you imagine its impact to be?
I think it's the players in this, on this board, are so slippery that I would need to wait and see what actually happens and how the words manifest themselves in the days and weeks and months ahead. Trump's America has previously withdrawn funding from the WHO, but money then went more directly to Bill and Gates. I can't remember whether it was the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation or whether it was Gavi, but the money was redirected so that it seemed to have left where people didn't want to see it, but it still ended up in a connected destination. Bill Gates, or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, being amongst the biggest private funders of the WHO, and I would need to see what actually happens. When I say slippery, the WHO were pushing the pandemic preparedness treaty, which they were trying to get every functioning country on earth to accept. Then that garnered the kind of headlines that became a bit problematic for the WHO. Perhaps it went a bit into the long grass, and then lo and behold, it resurfaced in the United Nations in New York with talk of the Pact for the Future and so on. So something that had seemed to be kicked away or pushed down by popular displeasure, then resurfaced somewhere else. I would need to see what it actually means. I would very much like to see the World Health Organization cease to be.
Yeah.
I think it's a malign presence, and I don't want it funded by anyone. I don't want it having any authority anywhere. And if Donald Trump means it when he says that, he, for his part, is going to withdraw everything from them, then good. But I would need to see in the weeks ahead how that actually shapes up.
That's very sensible, Neil, to not wildly offer opinions without observing information, and it's certainly not a position that I generally take. I suppose the only thing around which we would have consensus, the three of us, is that the WHO could be regarded as a malign influence on global health, which is an extraordinary verdict to achieve consensus around, given the nature and name of the organisation. But we have accumulatively so much information on what their agenda appears to be that it's difficult to remain optimistic. And it's Trump's opposition to globalism that forms at least a significant part of his popularity and, I would say, power. But the reason I'm so grateful to both of you and for the complexity and nuance that you bring to your opinions always on all of the subjects that we've discussed over the years is because this isn't a simple matter of the kind of neoliberal left bad and compliant acolytes of a globalist agenda and MAGA populists, good, bold opponents of globalism. And it's interesting to bring in here Whitney Webb's take on this subject. To be fair, Trump also left the WHO in mid-2020, says Whitney Webb, a brilliant journalist, and then redirected what was once WHO funding to the Gates-funded Gavi Vaccine Alliance that Neil just mentioned. While leaving the WHO is positive, says Webb, it's not the slam dunk summer advertising, especially considering Gates' recent comments on Trump's enthusiasm for his vaccine innovation proposals. I get called a lot of names, says Webb, for pointing this sort of stuff out, but remembering what happened last time is important and often instructive about the present, especially when few people in media are inclined to point these things out. She says that in response to Brett